Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, Canadian Conundrum, Where Does Your Product Fit? I am Teri Dickinson, the Manager of Regulatory Affairs here at Dell Tech. The slide deck will be posted to SlideShare, and links to both the recorded webinar and to slide deck will be emailed to those of you listening. So thank you for joining me today. The biggest question I get as a consultant is, I have a product and want to sell it in Canada, followed by, but where do I start? If you are coming to me for the answers, I always start by asking the following questions. Number one, claims. How do you want to market the product? And exactly what claims are you looking to make? Number two, to whom are you going to sell this product? And are you looking at only the consumer retail market or industrial institutional markets? Where on earth do you want to have this product? Based on the answers, I can help navigate the multiple regulations in Canada. And sometimes it's not as simple as falling under just one. Canada is a claim-based registration process. I thought the best way to explain the nuances would be to walk through various claims and examples. I will start with the products which make cleaning claims. These include degreasers, laundry detergents, and many more other all-purpose cleaning products. So you are making a cleaning claim. Where are you selling your product? If you are selling to the consumer retail market, your label would need to meet the Consumer Chemicals and Containers Regulations 2001, or CCCR 2001. These regulations outline any hazard symbols, precautionary text which must be added to the label based on the formulation and physical properties. If you are planning to sell to industrial institutional workplaces, your label will need to be in compliance with the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, or WHMIS 2015, which incorporates the globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals, GHS, and you would be required to have a bilingual SDS to supply to the workplace. What happens if your product is sold in both types of markets? If you are selling the product using the same container size to both consumer and workplace, you are permitted to use a CCCR 2001 label within the workplace if you'd like. It is, however, not a requirement. You can have a separate consumer and a separate workplace label, but note that the SDS must be in compliance with WHMIS 2015. You cannot use a WHMIS label in the consumer realm, however. Are you planning to sell a shampoo, conditioner, makeup, soap, fragrance, or facial cleaner? These products are all considered cosmetics and fall under the requirements of the Food and Drugs Act cosmetic regulations. These include both professional and handmade cosmetics. Cosmetics in Canada must be notified and the formulation supplied to Health Canada within 10 days after marketing. The formulation will also need to be checked against the cosmetic hot list, which puts some restrictions on specific ingredients. There are specific labeling requirements, such as ingredient declarations, which must also be met. The ingredients are also regulated under the Canadian Environmental Protection Act, or CEPA, New Substance Notification Regulations. These are regulations for ingredient import limits if not listed on the Canadian Domestic Substance List. In addition, cosmetics are subject to the Consumer Packaging and Labeling Act and regulations which specifies further information which must appear on your label. Any cosmetic product marketed for use on household pets are outside the cosmetic regulations and fall under the previously described CCCR 2001. We now move on to hand sanitizers, acne therapy, throat lozenges, sunscreens, anti-dandruff shampoo, and other products making therapeutic claims, which fall under the Food and Drugs Act and regulations. They are regulated by the Natural and Non-Prescription Health Products Directorate, or NNHPD. These products require registration and approval prior to sale, but the pathway to registration depends on the active ingredient. If your active ingredient is considered an NHP under Schedule 1, Item 2, an isolate, for example, alcohol, titanium dioxide, or salicylic acid, your product would fall under the Natural Health Products Regulations and need to obtain a Natural Product Number, or an NPN. The importer of record, Canadian manufacturer, would require a site license And NPN products currently have no government fees associated with their registration process. If your active ingredient is classified as a drug, for example, benzalkonium chloride or avobenzone, your product would be classified as a non-prescription drug and need to obtain a drug identification number, or DIN. The importer of record, Canadian manufacturer, would require an establishment license, and current government fees associated with these registrations vary from $1,000 to $100,000. For those of you who have hard surface disinfectants and hard surface disinfectant sanitizers already in the U.S., registered as antimicrobials under EPA, here's where Canada deviates. Hard surface disinfectants and disinfectant sanitizers in Canada are considered drugs under the Food and Drugs Act and regulations. They are regulated by the Natural and Non-Prescription Health Products Directorate, the same ones we looked at the acne medications and the other products on the last slide. These products require registration and approval prior to sale to obtain a DIN. Hard surface disinfectants have a unique exemption that importers of record manufacturers in Canada do not require a drug establishment license. Currently, government fees associated with the registration process vary from $500 to $5,000. Cost recovery is coming to an effect next April 1st, and these fees will be going up. Do you have a product which is a non-food surface sanitizer only, a soft surface disinfectant, an algaecide, a herbicide, an insecticide, industrial water treatment, material preservative, insect repellent, and the list goes on? These types of products require registration with the Pest Management Regulatory Agency under the Pest Control Products Act and regulations. There are 33 different use site categories which fall under PMRA, all with their own unique data requirements. These products require registration and approval prior to sale to obtain a Pest Control Product Number, or PCP. Your final end-use product must use a PCP registered source of actives, so it is not always just one registration involved. These submissions can be quite complex. Depending on the type of submission and the data being submitted, the government fees can vary from $500 to $150,000. When it comes to industrial food contact surface sanitizers only, Canada has an interesting difference from most jurisdictions. This claim requires no preclearance prior to sale. These industrial food contact surface sanitizers are required to have a label and STS which meet the WHMIS 2015 regulations. Most federally registered food establishments also require confirmation from the manufacturer that they are indeed safe and request a letter of no objection for the product to be on hand. There are a few options on how to request such a letter. The first, you can have on file a letter of acceptance previously provided by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, CFIA. Note that this option no longer exists as it was phased out with updates to the meat, egg, and fish inspecting regulations in 2014. You can request from Health Canada's Bureau of Chemical Safety Food Directorate a review of your formulation and formal letter of no objection. Note, this is a voluntary service and there are no government fees associated with such a request, and therefore no time standards either. Or your company can write your own letter of guarantee. For the last three types of products, which can get quite confusing when it comes to disinfectants and sanitizers, I have included a chart which outlines the final regulatory requirements. You can understand where confusion would set in and why the need to clearly define the places and surfaces the product will be used in before we can begin to bring a product to the market. For example, a disinfectant for use on hard surface, i.e. counter, is considered a drug and requires a DIN registration. A disinfectant for use on soft surface, i.e. a carpet, is considered a pest control product and requires a PCP registration. Overall, the takeaway message from this presentation is that in Canada, product claims determine the regulatory requirements. I think if not, the biggest takeaway is this chart that I've made. It can be quite confusing and quite interesting how products in Canada are actually regulated, and how the slightest claim change can require you to have a registration in possibly not just one jurisdiction, but a second jurisdiction.